Hi everybody, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to discuss how we can set our dogs up for success when either a friend or family member brings a dog over. That might be a new foster, it might be a dog that's just coming for the day or the weekend, or you can flip that around and put these measures in place if you take your dog to visit a friend or family member as well. Sometimes integrating groups of dogs or one dog into a group can cause a lot of stress or anxiety amongst the people or amongst the dogs, or it can just create a lot of excitement. And there's a lot of things that we can do to help them be successful and appropriate and have fun with each other without it being a complete circus or causing any stress that might turn into a fight or tension or uncomfortable feelings for any of our dogs. Before the dogs come together, there's some things that we should keep in mind. We should pick up any resources, pick up any valuable bones, pick up any valuable toys. If you are a free feeder, we could discuss that in another post, but pick that up. We don't want all of those valuable resources to be a potential issue when a new dog comes into our space. And keep in mind too, know your dogs. If one happens to guard couches or certain beds or crates, close the crate doors. Be safe so that the high value resources aren't going to be immediately a matter of contention between the dogs. That's a number one safety thing. Secondly, set up some separate areas. So if the dogs need a break or if we need to separate a couple of the dogs while the visit is in place, where can we put them so that everybody's happy? I like to use X-pens across the kitchen or a baby gate in the door. Unless I have a dog with anxiety or aggression issues that really needs a break, if they're social and we just need to separate them a little bit, I do like it so that they can see each other. So I like a baby gate or even two baby gates like stacked on top of each other, so long as they'll see and be a part of things, but they don't have to be in the middle of things. My little guy that is really anxious though, he doesn't want to see. When he needs a break, we close the door and he's quite happy to sit in the bedroom there and relax away from all the circus. So know your dogs, kind of think about what they need in order to be successful, but set up some separate areas. Those two things should happen before we have visitors. And your dogs should be used to the idea that we can put up a baby gate or put someone in a bedroom, with a bone, with a Kong, make it fun for them or relaxing for them. But we want to put all of that in place before we bring an exciting new friend into the house and then say, and by the way, now you get to be behind a baby gate. That's not fair. So set it all up ahead of time if you can, get everybody used to what the picture might look like, and we'll go from there. So depending on the social history of the dogs, have they had friends before? Do they like playing with each other? Do they like playing with other friends? Are they reactive? Is there a big size difference or big age difference between the dogs? Are they 3 females that are all in season right now? These are all things that we want to think about before we actually bring the dogs together. And those factors will determine how we bring them together as well. So if I have a super chill 12-year-old Labrador who loves everybody and likes to sniff bums but maybe isn't a hard wrestler, and my friend wants to bring over their 10-year-old Labradoodle who kind of is the same, he likes to say hi and sniff, I might not put all of this stuff in place. But if I have any anxious dogs, any reactive dogs, any hyper excitable dogs, I'll gradually bring them together rather than just saying, come on in and hope it all goes well. One of the best things that we can do is a parallel walk. So on a parallel walk, I just did this when I had a friend's adolescent Aussie staying with me. He's intact, he's full of himself, he is fixated on the girls. And before I was going to bring him into a closed space with my girls, I wanted to take him on a parallel walk to get them kind of used to each other. So that meant my dogs could be off leash because they wouldn't be in his space. If they were going to bug him, they would also have been on leash and I would have needed a second person. But my guys were off leash and I had the pup on leash, and as long as he was being appropriate, I had him on a long line. As long as he was being appropriate, he could just do his thing. Every now and then I'd check to make sure he could hear me. I'd call him, give him a cookie, that kind of thing, but mostly just let him follow my dogs around and sniff what they were sniffing, pee on things that they were peeing on, that kind of stuff. Any of those appropriate behaviors, that he was just allowed to be a dog and get to know my dogs. The inappropriate behaviors, however, that's why he was on a leash, and that's where I would just interrupt him. So humping, no humping. That's going to go sideways real fast. Not every dog enjoys being humped, and it's generally a sign that one dog is super, super excited and not thinking. So I don't personally allow humping in my pack. I might allow it in certain cases for certain dogs, but that is the rarity. So if we were humping, he was interrupted, and I'd just take him away from my dog and give him something else to do. Go sniff that, go pee on that. That's not appropriate. Chase games. So my dogs like to run around, and chase games can be fun, but they should be consensual. So one dog goes, chase me, and he kind of looks over his shoulder and they chase each other. That's great. But if one dog is just doing their thing, running, because dogs like to run, and the other dog's chasing and biting at the bum, or just chasing and body checking, and it wasn't a mutual play, that's interrupted right away. And that's part of benefit of having the dog on a long line, so I don't have to try to call him away from that when he's super excited. So chase games were okay if they're mutual, not okay if they're not mutual. The other thing that the little guy was doing, he's super cute. So everybody sit, everybody eats cookies. Everybody down, everybody gets a cookie. Can we do things together with me reinforcing? That's important. I need to know that he can do those things. And he's super great, except every now and then he got really excited about the cookie that another dog was getting, and he was basically trying to smell it as the other dog was sniffing it. So it was really just invasion of personal space. So I just interrupt him, say, hey, over here and sit, and your cookie will come to you over here. And we can help him learn that other dogs can have attention from me, his new friend, and other dogs can have cookies, and all of the amazing stuff is still coming to him over there, but he's not to be in their space. And all of these things I want to put into place before he's actually in the house. I don't want to have to deal with that inside a closed space with a feeding area and a valuable couch and nowhere to move, higher emotions, all of that stuff I work on those parallel walks. When you're ready to come inside the house, I like to put everybody in separate zones and give them all an activity like a Kong or a bone or a bully stick or a food puzzle, something to do to help them not just fixate on this new friend that's there. So in this case, our little guy, I didn't bring him in the house. I only had him for a few hours. But if I were to bring him in the house, or when I've brought puppies in, I just had a puppy board and train, super cute. I came in the house first, put everybody in a safe spot, give everyone a bone, and then I'd get the puppy, put her in her safe spot where she can see and smell everybody, and give her a Kong or a bone. Now everybody can go up to the fence and smell each other, and then they go back to their bone. And then they go over and wag and sniff each other and say hi and go back to their bone. So it helps create natural breaks in the greetings rather than just, here's a puppy and here's my 4 dogs on top of her trying to sniff her bum and all trying to smell her breath and smell her ears all at once. That would be really intimidating to a new dog, and I don't want to set the new dog up to feel scared and helpless and pinned and maybe snap or bark at the other dogs. That's not the ideal emotional state when we want to introduce a dog into our home. So assuming that everything's going well, everyone's kind of finishing up eating their bones or kind of getting bored of their bones, and now they're a little more calmly trying to greet each other, I'll open up those barriers so one of my existing dogs at a time is now in the same space as the visitor dog. The poor visitor dog doesn't want or shouldn't want, the poor visitor dog doesn't need to have 4 dogs all up in their space all at once. We can do that one at a time. And that just helps everyone stay a little calmer and feel more confident through the introductions. If that goes well and they're happy sniffing, I'll separate. Okay, go back over there for a cookie and a new dog can come in. Until all the dogs that I think are ready to interact have been interacting. And they don't all have to interact. I have one adolescent, or she's not an adolescent anymore. I have one female who's quite nervous of other dogs, and she would have her own space probably for 2 weeks when a new dog comes into the house. So if it's just visitor dogs here for the weekend or here for a few hours, she would likely not be in their space at all unless she was on a leash and they were on a leash, and maybe we could all sit on the couch and watch a movie, and the dogs can sit at our feet or beside us on the couch, but not necessarily have the freedom to be in each other's space. Structure's your friend, and structure isn't cruel, it's kind. So when we have dogs with anxiety, providing them a clear, predictable structure can help them feel confident and then help them have better feelings about this new canine in their home, sharing their people, sharing their resources. Well, and what if the dogs love each other so much they're just wrestling and wrestling and wrestling? That's kind of the ideal picture, right? We picture our dogs coming over and our best friend brings their dog over, and now our dogs are best friends and they just love each other. That is ideal. That's the picture I want in my head. But it's also important while they're playing that we enforce play breaks. So if they're wrestling for a good 10-15 minutes and you can kind of see one might be getting tired or one might be older, then we're going to separate. Everybody can go into their own spaces or go on leash, take a little break. Is everybody still actually cool and calm? Can everyone sit? Can everyone think? Yeah, okay. After 15 minutes of break, they can go back and play again. This will help them learn to take natural breaks themselves if we put that structure in place to begin with. It's not super healthy for your dogs to wrestle nonstop for hours on end. That's not a healthy natural behavior. Dogs can become over aroused and can make some poor choices, can be hard on their bodies. We want to separate that so that they learn how to just hang out with each other and wrestle a little and then hang out and then wrestle a little. But putting those breaks in is very important for a lot of dogs. And particularly if you have like a bully breed or a golden retriever that's just like, let me wrestle. Teaching them that piece will help them be appropriate in their play and in having a dog over at the house. On those breaks, of course, you can give them Kongs or bully sticks if they need that to settle down, if they're not able to just calm down and have you pat them and keep them with you. Be careful if your dogs are wrestling a lot that you don't have an anxious player. So some dogs will play as a means of escape. So 2 dogs come together, they're now in each other's spaces. One dog is anxious about that, and they don't really want to bark or snap, and maybe they don't feel they can leave because the other dog's going to chase them, or maybe they're inside a small space and they don't know that they have the option to leave. They will play. So often I'll see this in, say, an insecure golden retriever. They'll just play and play and play because they don't know how else to safely navigate a dog in their space. And by putting those play breaks in, we can see, okay, if one dog is like 10 out of 10 and the other dog is 8 out of 10, we're going to see if the 8 out of 10 dog wants to re-engage, or if the 8 out of 10 dog just wanders off and does something else. That would be my cue that the anxious dog needs a break and doesn't know how to get one. Now, if one dog is 10 out of 10 and the other is 2 out of 10 invested, I would probably just say, no, you're not playing right now. Everyone just go calm down and be near each other. But really check to see if the dog that maybe is less secure or the less invested in the play, if that dog is the one that will re-engage in the play. So check that out. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say. And remember, it's not natural. Some breeds aren't going to be able to accept a new stranger dog into their home without a lot of work. If you have a protection breed, it's not normal, doesn't make sense to them for another adult dog, especially if it's of the same sex, to come into their home. That can be really feel icky to them. And if you have one of those dogs, that's okay. Give them their own space. Make sure that we love and respect them for who they are. And we see it in most of the protection breeds, but you can also see it in your golden doodles or your goldens. All dogs are individuals. So if you have one of those dogs, that's okay. They don't need to play with friends. They don't need to share sleeping spaces. We just put up some structure and some boundaries, so X-pens, tethers, that kind of stuff, so that everyone feels safe. And that's super important. We want all of the dogs involved and all the people to feel safe in all of the interactions. And if somebody isn't, then we'll put some structure in place to make sure that scenario doesn't play out again, and that we can keep the peace. So let me know if you have any questions. Write them below this post, and I will answer them. I'll keep an eye on the post, and I'll answer them as I see them. Bye.